everybody!
Hey!
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Maggie.
We're from Rock Candy Podcast. Kind of like behind the music.
Except unauthorized and drunk. But come along every week and listen to us talk about artists or albums that you may know really well or may have never heard of while we're drinking beers.
Witty things to talk about.
Great hot takes with some hot babes.
That's subjective, but okay. So go find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and wherever you catch your pods.
And with that,
Party on, kids!
Oh, that sounded forced.
Is it not?
Hey there, this is John from Pint Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pint Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as
Filthy.
Okay,
reprehensible,
Crude.
sure.
nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
Welcome back to your 126th episode of Pint Comics. I'm Ganache. Sitting across the table from me tonight is absolutely fucking nobody. Yeah, that's right. So if you haven't been paying attention, there's a thing out there called COVID-19, and it's kind of really put a little bit of a weirdness on our lives in total. So basically, this has been a kind of a weird year for us recording wise. If you've been listening to shows that have come out this year, you might notice that it's either me and the Manster on one episode or me and Sir Jon. And that's not because Pint Comics is breaking up, kids. We don't have to sit you down and talk to you about anything. There's been a whole lot of things going on in our worlds, and unfortunately, it's been kind of tough for all of us to get together to record as much. So normally, I'll have a ton of episodes kind of in stock, and I put them out, and there are times we don't record for a month and a half, and you would never know it because we have 7 or 8 episodes, ahead. That's why if you notice on our shows, a lot of times we don't talk about current stuff a lot because it's easier to keep things. They call that evergreen in radio. Just keep it evergreen. That way we can you're not like listening to us talk about stuff like that. Well, this episode, I'm kind of recording out of need because we only have 2 in the can right now. I wish I had 2 in the can right now. As a matter of fact, see, it's weird because that would have been I would have had Manster would have laughed at that. Sir Jon would have looked at me, but Manster would have laughed at that. And it's weird. I've been podcasting now for over 5 years, and it's super odd to be sitting in this room by myself. But the show's got to go on. We got to get some content out there. And we've never done, I record the shows. I'm kind of, I guess you could say, the engineer. I edit and all that stuff. I have never attempted a Skype call or anything like that. I know everybody else does it, and I'm confident I could do it. But with this COVID-19 crap, it kind of came in and caused everything to be a necessity. You can't hang out with people in large groups, and my wife is immunodeficient, so it's hard for me to have people over here in a time like this, in fear of. Here's the thing with that whole COVID-19, and the whole show's not going to be about that. Is that there's a lot of people making it out to be, this isn't a big deal, it's a joke. It's not a joke to elderly people, and it's not a joke to people that are immunodeficient. And unfortunately, I've got to go out every day for my job and deal with people all day long. And my fear is bringing it back here. So obviously I have to work. I don't have to bring people over to record podcasts. So for the time being, we're not going to be recording together. As a matter of fact, my wife, Lynn, is going to be doing a 100-proof book project with me. Since she's been sent home from her work, working from home, I gave her a book to read. So we're going to be doing that. There's going to be a few different type of Pint Comic episodes. You might hear a couple with me and Lynn. You might hear, me having people Skype in. Do not worry. Sir Jon, the Manster, and Ganache are still the team. It's just that, unfortunately, times are... I'm 44, right? This is the weirdest shit ever. And anybody that tells you that it's not is lying to you. Okay, this social distancing, it's the weirdest shit ever. Okay, I was in my 20s when 9/11 happened. That was one of the weirdest things ever. So there's certain points in this world that we see stuff, and this is one that we're not going to forget. Hopefully this ends quickly and we're not, heading towards 28 days later and or a couple years of this hanging out by ourselves bullshit. But in any case, that's where we're at. Who I feel worse for in this entire thing is COVID's 1 through 18, right? Because they just weren't enough to stop everybody from going out to eat. They just didn't have it. They didn't have that extra oomph. Again, this is something that I feel like someone might have laughed at that, and I'm by my fucking self, and it's weird. But we're going to get this through this together. So a couple of housekeeping notes before we move on to what the bulk of the show is going to be about. Number one, please remember during a time like this, do the best you can to stay home. Do the best you can to keep yourself occupied. If you do have to shop, if you do have to go out and eat, try to do that locally. I know, again, this doesn't sound like an episode of Pint and Comics, and I apologize. We'll get back to talking about, Frankenstein's dick, any day now. But seriously, if you can shop locally, I want to point out a great friend of the show, Dan, who runs BoomTube Comics, 1475 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington, Connecticut. If you're local and you're looking for somewhere to get your comic books, Dan is remaining open. And he's also providing a curbside pickup. So if you want to go and get your books, you don't want to go inside, you're afraid that Dan's got, SARS, COVID-19, whatever it is right now, you can go, he'll come out, he'll hazmat it up, throw your copy of Deadpool at you and accept your payment. But it's a great thing. And we have to remember that this is affecting a lot of small businesses. So it's affecting businesses, period. But Walmart ain't going out, right? So we have to make sure we're taking care of that. So let's get to the gist of what this episode is going to be about. Totally unrelated to all of this, which it's kind of funny so at the beginning of the year, I said to myself, after we recorded our kind of best of 2019 episode, I said, I don't keep track of the movies I watch, because we were talking about best movies, and I had to really think, like, what are some of the best movies I saw from this year? And, it's hard, So I said to myself, I got this useless Letterboxd account. If you go to letterboxd.com, I'm assuming, I have an app on my phone. You can basically log in movies. And a lot of podcasters do this. I know Joey from So Wizard does it, and the guys from the Countdown podcast. 2 great shows, by the way, that, again, if you are home, well, I'm going to give you a whole list later on. If you are home and you're looking for something to listen to, I'm going to give you a list of podcasts to check out if you don't already know them. So what you want to do is, you go to Letterboxd and you just log in the movies you watch. This year has been a little bit trying personally in my life, and it's not a secret. I mentioned my wife's immunodeficiency. My wife is a cancer survivor, and she had a recurrence this year. It's very sad, but we are fighting it and working through it. But obviously, I guess the best way to put it is it kind of takes the first month and a half of this year, the wind was knocked out of my sails. It's still not 100%. I'm still, I'm dealing with it, but we're happy and we're moving forward. But so what I'm trying to get around to with this whole Letterboxd thing is that I've had plenty of time to watch movies. For me, movies are very easily distracting. I love comic books. I love reading. I didn't read a comic for probably a month and a half. Going and getting my books, picking them up. But I need that extra level of attention. There's art, there's word balloons, there's a lot going on in a comic, and I need that extra level of attention. For some reason, my brain with a movie has always been, I can turn a movie on and I can start watching it, and right then and there, I just flow into it. Even if I'm on autopilot, my brain pays attention to it. I'm laughing at the right parts. I don't know. This is probably not a good thing. This is probably goes to show that there's been a little bit too much entertainment in my life, but in a time like this, it's kind of necessary. So, and there have been a lot of people, I want to bring this up real quick because I'm going to not talk about that anymore. There have been a lot of people in the podcasting community who have reached out to me, because me and my wife kind of announced separately, but that this had happened, and I'm awestruck at some of the responses I got and the offers of love and friendship and stuff like that. So that was awesome. And I also want to say real quick, because they're not here, and it's easier because they're not here, that Lloyd and John have been beautiful. and through this whole thing, and they've got my back, and Gary and Chris and Lou, the Six Pack, who we all work hard to give you guys some entertainment, and we have a lot of fun working together. They have been awesome, and so I want to say that you guys can listen to this and not hear me say it here, because it's easier for me. Thank you guys very much. I love you all. So moving on past that letterboxd, here's what I'm going to do. Here's the idea of the show. It is March 18th. I have every movie I've watched up until March 18th logged, okay? And it started January 1st. So I'm only going to go through January and February. And trust me, there's a lot of movies in there. I've spent a lot of time watching movies. You'll see, I'm going to give you the dates too real quick. You'll see there are multiple movie days as well. And all I'm going to do on this is, this kind of works out because I was thinking about doing this anyway. I thought maybe if we ever do a Patreon, this would be a good little thing, like, Ganache recommends or Ganache tells you not to watch. And now with this COVID thing, this is turning into, I guess, a little bit of a, hey, you're home, right? Most of you people are home, or even if you're not home, you're hopefully going straight home, when this is, when you're done. You're not going out there coughing and farting and sneezing all over everybody. So you can go home and watch a movie, and there might be some things on here that you'll go, hey, you know what? It took Ganache to tell me that this was good for me to check it out. All right, so let's start with January 1st of 2020. And I'm just going to give you the movie. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to move on to the next movie. The first thing, January 1st, that I saw this year was a movie in the theaters, and I've only gone to the theaters a couple times this year. I think that might be the only time. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so me and my wife went on New Year's Day. I had New Year's Day off, and we checked it out. And I have not been a fan overall of the Disney trilogy, whatever you want to call it, J.J. Abrams. And I went and saw this. And I guess the only way I could really put it is, and it makes no sense, in spite of itself, because this is a poorly written movie, I had a great time. And maybe it was the nostalgia factor. I know it was the nostalgia factor. Really, like grabbed me on this one. There was moments in the first two, but there was a lot of moments in this one. I mean, I'm not even kidding, and I feel comfortable telling you guys this, that I fucking cried. I cried when Luke's ghost pulled the X-Wing out of the water. That's ridiculous. But like that scene for me, I don't know. I can't describe it. We all know stuff like that. So I didn't, and it wasn't like ugly crying. It was just, I cried. It was just a beautiful moment. There's the music, everything all together. The movie's horribly written. It's not a good movie. God, there's so many plot holes. But I left the theater charged. I left the theater like, I want to see that one again. I didn't go back. I know our buddy Marcellus from So Wizard podcast has gone back 4 times, 5 times. That ain't me. But I will tell you, as opposed to The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, when this comes out on Blu-ray, which might actually be this week, I could be wrong. It's on video. It's confusing now because this COVID thing is causing everything to be bumped up. And if you haven't heard yet, if you have Disney Plus and you were a fan of Frozen 2, they released that like months early. It's there now. So I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but maybe that one person out there, holy shit, Frozen 2. Ganache told me, I didn't know that. So Rise of Skywalker. Okay, we'll move past that. January 1st, that night at home, I watched Motel Hell. This is a 1980 horror movie. I'm not going to get too far into this because this is the subject of one of our Scary Larry's Scary Larry's Pint of Horrors episodes. I will say this about Motel Hell, and this is all I'll say, is that if this episode ever gets done on Pint Comics, it is already gaining legendary status. We were supposed to record it the week after we watched it. So like, let's say January 5th or something. And at that point, my wife had, she had a pneumonia symptom. Okay. So we canceled because she wasn't feeling great. A week or two later, we were going to reconvene and record. Scary Larry was going to come over and he felt sick. And we didn't want him to bring him over with my wife not feeling great. We canceled again. So now you jump forward probably, 2 months to this month. And we planned on finally getting together and doing the Motel Hell episode. And it was the week before the COVID stuff really hit. So we planned on actually recording, I think in 2 days from now, a couple weeks ago. And then once they started really telling you, stop getting together, stop, bringing people over your house, run for the hills, set everything on fire. I basically said, Lair, and he agreed. We all knew. So if you ever hear the next episode, and you're going to, I'm going to be positive. All I want you to know is that Motel Hell episode, has literally been hell. We have not been able to do anything with it. All right, so the day those were both January 1st. January 3rd, I think on Netflix. I'll try to tell you where I watched these two on Netflix. Don't Think Twice. Keegan-Michael Key and Mike Birbiglia. Mike Birbiglia is a stand-up comic. I think he wrote and directed this. It's a movie about a stand-up, what do you call those? Improv troupe. An improv troupe. Keegan-Michael Key plays a guy in the improv troupe who ends up getting hired by like a Saturday Night Live type show. And it's kind of all about their lives and the jealousy they go. Why did I watch it? I don't know. It wasn't bad. So check that out. Don't Think Twice. January 4th, the next night, I just wanted to watch something that makes me laugh and relax. I watched Grandma's Boy, which is, if you're a fan of the Adam Sandler universe, what is that called? Happy Gilmore? Not Happy Gilmore. I can't remember what he calls it. Happy Madison. It's one of the best. He's not in it at all. It's Alan Covert, who plays a bunch of roles in his other movies, but it's a fantastically funny movie about a stoner who designs video games. If you've never seen it, you definitely have to check it out. It's got more stomach laughs than most other things. January 6th, Six Underground, the Michael Bay Netflix movie starring Ryan Reynolds. All I'll say about that is #Bayhem, and if you want to get my true thoughts on that, go check out the Nomcast. Okay, another great podcast that you should be listening to, Netflix Original Movies Podcast, hosted by our friend Andrew Morgan. And I did an episode of the Nomcast about Six Underground with Andrew, so you can hear that there. January 7th. So yeah, I'm just fucking movies up left and right here. Depraved. Okay, so Depraved is a modern day Frankenstein tale. And I watched this on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if it's still there. If it is, I suggest you check it out. The lead makeup effects artist is Brian Spears, who is a friend of ours from another podcast, The Mobile Horror Companion. Brian and his partner, I think Pete Gerner, do effects and makeup they've done stuff for Netflix, Daredevil, The Punisher, just awesome stuff. And so this was a very cool modern take. The Dr. Frankenstein character, who's not named that, is an Iraq or Afghanistan war doctor. And it's an interesting take, and it was very cool. I liked it a lot. Now, as opposed to me liking that a lot, January 12th, I unfortunately watched Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I am an old fan of the Kevin Smith stuff, but it has not aged well or really come with me through my life. You know what I mean? It's just not that good. I'm not Sir Jon. I don't hate the guy. But so not Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, right? That's what it's called. That relied heavily to me on fan, what do you want to call that? Fan, Jesus Christ. Coddling to fans, whatever the fucking term for that is. My brain, this is weird doing this by myself. So a lot of that stuff, there's a lot of fan service in that. And it worked for me. I don't know why. I don't know why. There's just a lot of things that worked for me in that movie. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is 100% fan service. And it's a terrible movie. It's not good. I'm sorry if you're a fan. I know people have been telling me, oh man, that thing is great. I'm never the guy. I don't want to be the guy to tell you you're wrong, because you're not wrong. That's your opinion. But my opinion is, holy shit, that movie was not good, and not funny, and not, yeah, stop doing those movies. He did Red State a few years ago, and I didn't see Tusk. I know John hates Tusk, but I thought Red State was pretty good. I didn't know it was a Kevin Smith movie, and I thought, wow, this guy's going to start doing stuff like that. Apparently not. So January 16th, we got 2 movies that day. And actually, I won't talk about them much, because if you heard in February, we had Michael Butler and Mike Field from another great podcast, Forgotten Cinema, on, and they both picked these movies for their Pint Movie Invitationals. Me and Lloyd did these with them. Field picked Midnight Madness, the 1980 David Naughton starring scavenger hunt movie, and Butler picked Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So if you go back probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago, you could find those two right next to each other. I think the title on Midnight Madness's episode was Chasing the Dragon, and the title on the Phantom Menace one is the Roger Dudes. So the 18th, January 18th, again, much like Grandma's Boy, I just threw something in that I wanted to watch that makes me laugh. Me and my wife watched Jackass 3D. That's right. Here's a little known fact about me, and it's not a secret because I'm not afraid to tell you this. Some people might look at it as lowbrow. It is lowbrow. I'm a huge Jackass fan. I'm a huge Jackass fan. There's a scene in this one where they put Preston Lacey, who's the really heavy guy, in this clear, hefty bag suit, and then they have a drain coming off of it, and then they have him on a treadmill or a exercise cycle, and obviously as he gets sweatier and sweatier, the liquid starts to build up, and then Steve-O has to, suck on the drain. It's, this is what these guys do. If you can't deal with that kind of stuff, then yeah, you don't want to be watching a Jackass. But Jackass 3D, fantastic time. Okay, so a couple days go by, nothing on the watching front. And then January 23rd, I watched a movie that surprised the fuck out of me. Terminator Dark Fate. I have given up completely on the Terminator franchise, right? So I love 1, I love 2, and yes, I'm the guy. I love 3. I think 3 was super underrated. If Sir Jon was here with me right now, he'd be giving me no fist bumps with COVID-19, but we'd be doing like a air high five, because I know he loves it too. Salvation was garbage. I only saw bits of Genesis, and that seemed to be the worst thing ever. Terminator Dark Fate, they're saying it's supposed to be an overridden sequel to part 2 directly. Yeah, whatever. I mean, 3 still exists to me. This is just kind of hey, it didn't do well, so we'll probably never get another one. I mean, and that's ridiculous saying, because I think Genesis and Salvation tanked out as well, but I just had fun with this one. There's a lot of good action scenes in this movie. I'm an action movie fan. And, we don't get a lot of great action movies anymore. I'm not saying this is a great one, but there was some really cool stuff in this one. January 25th, on the other hand, the Mobile Horror Companion talked about this movie so much I decided to watch it. The Fanatic. So The Fanatic is John Travolta playing a autistic guy who is obsessed with movies. He lives in Hollywood. And he's obsessed with this one particular movie star played by Devon Sawa. Do you remember Devon Sawa? He was in Final Destination, and he was Stan in the Eminem Stan video. So yeah, Devon Sawa and John Travolta. So Travolta plays this obsessed fan and the fanatic, and it's just, I don't know. He ends up taking Devon Sawa's character hostage because he wasn't nice to him, and this is not a good movie. And this is not a surprise either. It's directed by Fred Durst. Do you remember Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit? Now, I have, him being in Limp Bizkit doesn't mean he can't be a good director. So it's kind of a dicky thing for me to say, but if Limp Bizkit's music was a movie, then The Fanatic is that answer. It was not good. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It is fairly short. So if you want to check it out, then check it out. But again, not good. Yeah, and Travolta's got this haircut in it, man. I'll put it up along with the when I put this out on Facebook. Just Google The Fanatic and look at his hair. Full gray hair. It's like this weird fucking mullet. You can't, when you watch this movie, you feel bad for him. You feel bad for Travolta. Like, has it come to this? What are you doing, John? Yeah, it's not good. So all right. So January 28th. I think this was on Tubi. Do you have Tubi? TUBI. It's free internet television. It's essentially mostly all movies. I think there's some shows on that one too. Colin Trevorrow, who directed the first Jurassic World, he's directing the new one that's coming out, and he was going to make Rise of Skywalker. He ended up not making it. His script got out there, and people who read his script after they fired the guy, they bring J.J. Abrams back. He rewrites the script, and then Trevorrow's script came out shortly after the movie came out, and people were like, his script is fucking good. It's not shit like the script we got in, the actual movie. So he made a movie, I think it's his first movie. It was called Safety Not Guaranteed, starring Mark Duplass and Aubrey Plaza, who, yeah, I love Aubrey Plaza. I think she's fantastic. I had never seen it before. It's from 2012. I suggest you check this movie out if you have not. It's a magazine crew. Jake, what's his name? Jake Johnson? I think it's Jake Johnson, who I like him as well quite a bit too. He was in Tag and The Mummy, and he actually has a small role in Jurassic World. He plays a magazine writer, and he takes two interns, one of them being Aubrey Plaza, and the other one being the guy who plays Deadpool's taxi driver. I don't know his name. He's pretty funny though. And they basically respond to an ad for someone who's looking for someone to time travel with. So it's a classified ad. Need someone to time travel with. Safety not guaranteed. And it's a story of the Mark Duplass character who is the time traveler. And yeah, it's not a great movie, but it was a good little movie. As John would say often, it was solid. It was a solid movie. It was fun, and I had a good time with it. So Safety Not Guaranteed, check that out. Sorry if you're hearing more breathing noises and stuff than normal. Again, this is so weird just to be constantly talking, and my throat, it seems like it's a weird thing with whenever we record. I feel fine all day long, and then we go to record, and I get gummy throat, which, fuck, that was gross. Ugh, gummy throat. That doesn't sound good at all. The last movie of January was on the 31st, and it was a Netflix movie, And me and my wife just decided to watch The Ridiculous Six, which I had never seen, an Adam Sandler Western starring Adam Sandler, Terry Crews. Let me see, what's the kid's name? Tyler Lautner. He was the werewolf kid from Twilight. Rob Schneider and a couple other people. Oh, Luke Wilson's in it. I got to be honest, it might have been the fact that, like, again, going back to the fact that like the first month and a half, kind of rough stuff going on. Just needed a laugh. Everybody shit on this movie when it came out a few years ago. It is by far not a great movie, but I laughed. You're going to get a couple laughs out of all these Sandler movies here and there. And this one had me laughing at points. Again, I would never watch it again, but it did its job. So good job, Ridiculous Six, for making me laugh that night. So we'll move into February. So here we go. February 1st on, I think this was also on Tubi, or it might have been Sony Crackle. I don't know. So check these out. If you don't have these already, check out Tubi. Check out Pluto TV, and check out Sony Crackle. All right? These are all free apps you could throw up on your Roku, or if you're like me, Fire Stick. And there's just a ton of free content on there. There's movies. They do have commercials and stuff, but I mean, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. They don't edit stuff out, so if there's titties in it, there's titties in it. If there's the fuck word, there's the fuck word. It's just every once in a while, you'll get like a little timer, and it'll say 15 seconds till break. You get, a couple, but it's free. They're giving you a free movie. So watch their fucking commercial for, I don't know, for fucking Pantene Pro V or whatever the fuck's going to make your hair look, bouncy. So February 1st, I watched, cause I realized, I had done the Bayhem episode about Six Underground with Andrew on Nomcast earlier in the month. And I was like, I know he didn't direct it, but I've never seen the Michael Bay produced Turtles movies, right? So the first one's on there. So I was like, you know what? I'm familiar with Turtles, but it was like, I'm a little bit older than when the toys and the cartoon were big. So it was not in my wheelhouse necessarily, but I did read the comics, the Eastman Laird comics when I was a kid, the black and white, the pretty violent ones. But again, I never had that turtle affinity that people have. So I was like, fuck it. I mean, I did see the original movie, the first two at least when they came out. I never saw the one. They went to Japan, right? Like in 1800s. I never saw that. So I watched this one here, and I got to be honest with you. So Michael Bay produced it. It is a Michael Bay movie. You know what I mean? In terms of like, it's glossy. It's got big action scenes. Megan Fox is in it, and she's April O'Neil. And Will Arnett plays her cameraman, and the bad guy is one of my favorite character actors, William Fichtner. And then you get Shredder, of course, and Splinter. And the only voice I recognized, and I think I looked it up, the only one that was actually a famous person funnily in the first movie, not the second movie, he must have said, "Fuck this, I'm not doing it again." Johnny Knoxville from Jackass played Leonardo in the first movie. So I kind of enjoyed this movie. I mean, again, mindless bullshit. There's some fun action scenes in it. It's essentially an origin story, because that's what you have to do in the first movie of everything. Is you have to have the origin. You have to know what happened. You can't just put it up like on the screen. Remember the Incredible Hulk television show with Bill Bixby, where it was like the origin was in the credits? Do that. They actually did that in the Hulk movie with Edward Norton. They re-showed you like everything that had happened in the credits. Do that. Just do a credit sequence where you show the turtles and they fall into ooze and they become ninjas and they like pizza and, whatever. But so anyways, so there were some good action scenes, and I overall enjoyed the movie. Would I ever really watch it again? Probably not. But I had fun with it. So, and that's going to come into play a little bit later. February 2nd, I watched Uncut Gems. So this is the Adam Sandler drama where he plays he's a piece of shit in this movie. He's a bad gambler, a bad father. He ends up getting this really rare and expensive, I think was it an opal? It was some kind of like, it wasn't a diamond. Amethyst? Maybe an amethyst. He gets this really rare gem. And his whole life starts to become this whole thing with this gem. Kevin Garnett plays himself, and he wants this gem, and the Sandler character just makes bad choice after bad choice after bad choice after bad choice until the end. And when you get there, you'll see what happens at the end of this movie. Here's the thing. This film, everybody was talking about he deserved an Academy Award, a nomination. I don't know if he did, because Adam Sandler has done things. I think he's proven that he's not just necessarily, Mr. Ooh, that guy. I know a lot of people I've never seen it love that Punch Drunk Love. And he's done other things that he's kind of, gotten some recognition for. I don't know if this was really an Academy Award-winning movie and or performance. It was enjoyable. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again. It's hard. It's one of those movies where it's it's not a drug addicted movie, but you're watching an addict, this guy who's addicted to money and to doing the wrong thing constantly. Like this guy, he does things immediately. There's a scene where he lends Kevin Garnett this rock that he thinks is worth like $1 million. And Garnett wants it because he wants to have it in the locker room. He thinks it's going to give him good luck. And Garnett gives him a championship Celtics ring as collateral. And within like fucking 20 minutes of getting it, he pawns the ring to get money to gamble with. You know what I mean? Like, so you cringe watching this because this guy makes fucking bad choice after bad choice after bad choice. That is currently out on the other day. I was at before the whole thing happened here with COVID, where you could still be places. I was at Walmart and I saw that's out on DVD and Blu-ray. So I would definitely say check it out. February 3rd, again, here just once in a while you need a little bit of laughter in your life. 1987, Carl Reiner, Summer School with Mark Harmon. Always a fan of this movie. Hadn't seen it in a long time. Kirstie Alley, Mark Harmon. As I watched this movie, I just thought, man, Mark Harmon is like charming and good looking. And, I know he's had this career on television. He's been on NCIS. I don't watch it, but I mean, I know Sir Jon watches that thing. It's on season like fucking 800. It somehow is on season 804. This year it's been renewed for 805. But my thought process is like, how is this guy not a bigger star? A movie star. How did he not become a bigger movie star? But whatever, he's very affable. I like him a lot. So we go a couple days, didn't watch any movies. February 8th. Again, I think this might have been also on Tubi. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. This is the sequel. And apparently after this one came out, they basically said they're going to reboot it and start over again. And I could see why. Any of the charm the first one might have had, the second one does not have. They immediately went to the bigger, faster school of thought. You got Shredder as a bad guy. You got Bebop and Rocksteady. Stephen Amell, who I like him as Arrow. I haven't watched it in years, but I like Arrow. I like him as Arrow. He plays Casey Jones. He's just, I don't know. I felt like he had no fucking charisma. And I don't know. Everything I liked about the first movie just did not work for me in the second one. So, yeah. So there's sequelitis right there. And, I'm sure most of you probably listen to this probably go, they're both garbage. But you got to admit, like, the second one was just heavier garbage. I didn't love the first one, but, man, the second one was just heavier garbage. So the 9th, I watched 3 movies in that day. It must have been a Sunday. I had plenty of time. The wife and I watched Annihilation, which was Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina, which I did like. And he also wrote, and they say he kind of directed Dredd. Now, they say that because Pete Travis directed Dredd. And then apparently they locked him out of the editing room, and Garland kind of put it together his way. Dredd is one of my top 10 movies of the last. I love Dredd. It's a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic adaptation of a great comic, 2080's Judge Dredd. Carl Urban is Judge Dredd. It's such a fucking good movie. And then he makes Ex Machina, and that's a pretty good movie too. I didn't love it, but I did like it. So I just never gotten around to watching Annihilation, and, Natalie Portman's in it, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Oscar Isaac, and Tessa Thompson, is that her name? From Thor, and from, I think she's in Men in Black 2, or International. So I ended up watching that, and no, it just, it's one of those movies that, like, I could have, I don't know. It's about this military science expedition into this, so there's this shimmering rainbow light that a meteorite has hit the Earth in this one spot in particular, and this light is expanding, and they keep sending in crews to check it out. Nobody's coming back. So Natalie Portman's character is a scientist and an ex-military person. Her and her crew, it's all females, go in to check it out. As soon as they get in, they're losing time. There's these weird creatures. I don't know. It just, everything about this movie should have worked for me and didn't. I don't know. I didn't like the feel of the movie. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, or if you've seen it and you like it, let me know. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. That night on, I think on Pluto or Tubi. No, you know what? This one was on Amazon Prime. At the Drive-In documentary. So now I'm getting into smart stuff here. But I don't watch like documentaries about really like, I like the pop culture documentaries. And this is one of my favorites that I'm going to tell you about. And I'm going to tell you right now, check it out. It is basically an hour and a half long, and it is about this drive-in theater in Pennsylvania. And pardon me, I don't have the name of the town here with me right now. That after many years of being open and showing first-run movies. They couldn't afford to change their projectors over to digital. Studios that lease out movies won't lease out film anymore. So they had to make the decision of either closing, because they can't afford the digital projectors, or moving on to like a film-only, like let's show, 7th rate, I don't mean 7th rate, but, movies that have been around for a long time. And it's the story of how the guy that kind of worked there and owns it ends up meeting these two younger kids that are big movie fans, and by younger I mean in their 20s, and they become his business partners. And long story short, it's still successfully going on to this day. This movie I think is about 2 or 3 years old, but I think it was filmed like 5 years ago, and it was their first season of doing this. And if you go on their website, they remind me very much of Scary Larry and the Cult Classics, Connecticut Cult Classics stuff. They're still going strong. And, the documentary followed the people who are involved with this and the community, the people that go to see these things. I strongly suggest this one at the drive-in. Really cool little documentary. February 9th, I watched this British movie called Pressure. And it's, who's in it? I can't think of the guy's name right now. He played Matthew Good. He played Ozymandias in the Watchmen movie. And, there's another, I'm going to blank. There's another British actor who's in everything. And I can't think of one fucking thing he's in. So in any case, it's this movie about a commercial ship that sends like a diving bell down with 4 divers who are going to repair lines underwater. And the ship ends up getting destroyed in a storm, and these guys are stuck in the bell at the bottom of the ocean. And it wasn't great, but it was a good little, there was some suspense there. Jesus, what was the guy's name? Not John Huston. Danny Huston, okay? He was in 30 Days of Night. He was in Wolverine Origins. I think he played Stryker. He's in a lot of stuff. You see this guy, you're going to know who he is. But in any case, so these 4 guys end up on the bottom of the ocean, and it essentially becomes a survival movie. It kept my attention for, an hour and 40 minutes. Was it great? No, but it was interesting. It was definitely an interesting film. February 11th, I watched, now this is a movie that I had not seen in years, and I absolutely love Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. I think that might have been the day where we kind of got the news that was kind of solidified about my wife's situation. I just think I was at the point where, we were just kind of like hanging, and it was one of those things. Everybody's been in a situation where, you're just kind of, you don't know where you're at right then and there. And for 2 hours, I threw on Star Trek IV and was able to get out of my world. It's also, directed by Leonard Nimoy. It's referred to as the funny one because it is. Man, is it funny. It's a funny fucking movie. It's just a beautiful little film about these characters in a, obviously in a very weird time. They're these guys from the 23rd century, and here they are in 1986 and having to deal with, dickhead punk rockers on buses and trying to find whales. They got to bring whales back. The plot is very simple to this movie, but I don't know. It's a super fucking charming movie. And if you've never seen Star Trek IV, I don't know why you're listening to this because, no, seriously, if you've never seen Star Trek IV, do yourself a favor. You don't even have to see the ones before it or after it. You just got to know that this is a crew of people that have been working together and living together and friends for a long time. Because that's what's great about these movies, especially as they got older, is these guys might not have loved each other in real life a lot. There's always that talk about Shatner versus this guy and this guy versus this guy. But man, did the camaraderie come through on the screen. That same, the next day I watched on Shudder, The Headhunter. This is a super indie movie, hour and I think 12 minutes long. I think it's probably the shortest a feature film could be. So if you have Shudder, which is the awesome kind of horror movie, Netflix, I guess you can call it, streaming service, this is from 2018, and it is essentially the story of a medieval guy who lives in the woods, and he hunts creatures down, and he's the headhunter. His cabin is filled with all these gnarly monster heads, and this is a movie, if you watch it, you're going to agree with me, I think, that they do a lot with a little, because there's no budget here, but everything that they do effects-wise, it's practical and it's fucking awesome. If you have not seen it or heard of it, please check out The Headhunter. It is totally worth your time. The 15th was a twofer, because the 15th was the last Connecticut Cult Classics. So Scary Larry and his crew put on a couple movies, Reanimator and Night of the Creeps. They were played in the opposite order, Night of the Creeps first, and Reanimator. Night of the Creeps is a movie that I never had really... A lot of people love that movie. I had not seen it till I think last year in full. And I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was great. I enjoyed it. My opinion of it went up solidly after seeing it in the theater with a crowd. It's a fun sci-fi horror fraternity sorority comedy movie. It's all those things and more. There's a great prologue that takes place in the 50s, prologue takes place in the 50s, and it's just a really fun movie that I did enjoy a lot. Fred Decker, who ended up directing the Monster Squad, I think the next year, directed this, and he's done some other stuff we'll talk about at some other point. And then Reanimator, Stuart Gordon, Jeffrey Combs, who is fantastic. I had not seen Reanimator since I was a kid, probably 14, 15 years old. I liked it back then. Night of the Creeps was the winner of the night for me on that one. Reanimator is a good movie, but I don't know. I was tired too. I'll fully admit those cult classic nights, man, they're awesome. But the second movie starts at like 10:30 sometimes, and I'm 100 years old. So, I think I was nodding off in that one a little bit. But there is a scene in that where a disembodied head, eats a woman out. So besides that, we'll move on to the next movie. The next movie is February 19th, Tales from the Crypt Demon Night. And I'm not going to say anything more about that because we did that with Curtis Spieler. Awesome director. 2 movies out there now, The Devil's Well and Sheepskin. Okay, if you've never seen either of those, check them out, please. Kurt made them. He has another movie coming out in the next year or so. But we had him on for the Pint Movie Invitational, and we watched Tales from the Crypt Demon Night, because you're going to hear that episode probably in a couple weeks. The same day, February 19th, I watched another one of these little documentaries. This was not as good as At the Drive-In, but it was interesting. It was called The Power of Glove, and it was a documentary all about Nintendo's Power Glove. Remember that? See, I got a Power Glove, right? I got a Power Glove like 1989. It's all I wanted for Christmas. I got it. I was done playing with it by like January 12th of 90, because that thing sucked. All right. If you're a Nintendo fan, maybe you feel differently. I'll have to ask our buddy Mike Fulham. Lou maybe feels differently, but man, did the Power Glove suck. It did not do, for me, what I thought it was going to do. I mean, you're a kid, you see this Power Glove and you think, fuck, this thing is, I'm going to be able to reach through worlds. I'm going to be able to fucking, no, it was garbage. It was hot garbage. But in any case, there's a documentary. I think this is on Amazon Prime. And it was all about the Power Glove and how it came to be, and its original, what the technology was originally made for. It was for computing, but it wasn't for gaming necessarily. And then it goes through and talks to a bunch of people that were involved with it, and talks about the failure of it, and talks to current people who are fans of Nintendo that love this thing. And again, if you've ever watched any of these pop culture video game behind the scenes documentaries, you kind of know what you're getting with it. But it was well made, and it was fun. So when I was a kid, there was a company called Full Moon. I think they're still around. And they made a bunch of movies I loved. They made Trancers, and they made Crash and Burn, and they made one of their big things was the Puppet Master series. So the Puppet Master series was a series of movies about these murderous little fucking puppets. And their Andre Toulon was the guy who created them. And if you know these movies, the drill head guy, and there's Blade and all this stuff. And there was probably about 7 or 8 of those movies. Well, Craig Zoller, who is the writer-director of some great movies of recent years. Bone Tomahawk, Brawl and Cell Block 99, and those are great. And I have not seen yet Dragged Across Concrete. He wrote this new one called Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich. And it is essentially a kind of, I don't want to say a reboot, but I guess you could say it's a reboot of the Puppet Master series. It stars Thomas Lennon, who's Dangle on Reno 911, but he's in a ton of other things. He was from The State, the great MTV sketch comedy show, and he's known as a scriptwriter now. And it is essentially a story about a bunch of people getting together to go to a auction to sell off through different means. They all have different puppets of these Toulon puppets, and they go to an auction to sell them off, and of course things go bad and they start getting picked off. There is a scene in it involving a pregnant woman that I'm not going to talk about. I'm just going to tell you, check this movie out and be prepared because it's fucking horrifyingly gross, this scene. And again, remember I said a pregnant woman, so you could already imagine, nah, they're not going to go there. Oh, fuck. They go there so hard. They go there so fucking hard. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But that being said, I was the other day when I was at my local Walmart, I don't have an 4K player, but they had a pile of 4K movies that were like $6. And they had Puppet Master, Littlest Reich, and it said it came with a Blu-ray, which I do have, and I bought the fuck out of that thing, because I will watch it again, because I had a good time. The 26th, a couple days later, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. So Star Trek 4 got my motor running, and I said, I'm not going to watch 5. 5 isn't as bad as everybody says. It's fun, it's got its moments, it's definitely lower on the list of the movies. But 6 was the one that ends everything, for the original crew. And it's crazy to think that that movie came out almost 30 years ago. It's been, that long since we've really had these people, in that capacity. Yeah, of course, Shatner came back for Generations, and Nimoy came back for the first of the J.J. Abrams movies. But this is the last time this crew, were out there. And it's they brought Nicholas Meyer back, who made Star Trek 2, which is the best, obviously. And I loved it. I love Star Trek 6. It's a fantastic movie. It's heavy-handed. It's it's all about Russians versus Americans and the end of the Cold War, except it's the Klingons and the Federation. There's a lot of that going on there. But it's just it ends. I honestly had a tear in my eye at the end, when Kirk tells him, he gives him the Peter Pan quote, it's to, second star to the right, straight on till morning. And it's them signing off. It's them taking the Enterprise out for one last spin. And it has this great moment when the movie ends, you get the signatures of all the stars on the backdrop. So the movie ends, the Enterprise takes off into warp speed, and then you see William Shatner's signature. And, you actually felt like, wow, this is a chunk of my life is over. And again, I was young when that came out, so it affects me more now because I've had a lot of time. I was a Star Trek fan then, but I've had a lot of time to spend more time with them. And then, that's really the last one. February 27th was the last movie I watched in February of 2020, and it was The Greasy Strangler. And if you listened to our last episode, you heard Scary Larry Dwyer and his buddy Mike Simonetta, our buddy too. They made us watch that, so I don't have to get into The Greasy Strangler anymore. I hope I never have to say the words "the greasy" or "strangler" in a sentence string ever again, because that movie really fucked me up. So that's it. That's just listen to my words on those movies and just say, hey, look, I'm going to check this out. I'm going to check that out, or I'm totally going to avoid that. But I managed to talk for 52 minutes. I'm pretty amazed at myself for that. So, and I want to point out too, I'm going to give all the credit in the world to our friend Shane Beauregard. So Shane is a podcaster from North Carolina. He's a Connecticut native. He's really good friends with Chris Frodell, arguing with myself, our buddy, Six Packer. And every single week, Shane does an episode just like this. They're usually in the half hour to 40-minute range. But he has no co-host. He occasionally will have his wife on. He will occasionally have Chris or Chris's wife on. But he's done 150 episodes, and he's done probably 140 by himself. And I want to point this out because I said, go check him out. It's called Media Mosh. Follow him on Twitter. Listen to his show. He always talks about what's new in the box office, all this good stuff. But I cannot wrap my head around how this guy does this by himself week after week, because this is fucking exhausting and hard to do. So, yeah, so again, stay safe during this whole COVID thing. It's going to pass. It just depends on how long. But we got to deal with it, We're thinking about you. Hopefully you're thinking about us. Pint Comics is going strong. Don't forget, you can still listen to the radio show on Sunday nights at 6:30 p.m. I haven't been on the radio as much this year at all, kind of due to the circumstances that me and my wife have been going through. But Sir Jon is there every week. He's doing good stuff. So please continue to check him out. Check that out, and check this out. Check the podcast out. Again, I can't stress it enough. You're probably going to hear a couple episodes that are going to be a little bit different, like this here. Hopefully you like them. Hopefully you roll with them. If you don't, I apologize, but all I could say is don't go anywhere, because we're going to be reconvening. I think that I guess this whole COVID corona thing has taught us one thing, is that there's going to be a lot of life adjustments. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, right now we have to adjust things. So the option for us was either running out of episodes or having to do things a little bit differently. And like I said, I'm going to be, now that I have all my equipment out, I'm going to be dicking around with Skype and the thought process of trying to figure out how to record episodes that sound good with people from other places. So that's what we're at right now. If you're looking for stuff to listen to, I'm going to give you a couple podcast names right now to check out, because you have plenty of time to catch up if you're working from home, I'm sure. Podcast, our buddy Dino, check him out. Him and his wife Michelle talk about pop culture, talk about their lives, talk about their faith, and they have the single best, I guess you can call it, mission statement for their podcast is be decent to each other. That is severely important, especially in these times. So Wizard, go to So Wizard, Joey, Aubrey, and Marcellus. Fucking 300 episodes in a row coming up. That's no joke. Goes to the Stratosphere. Our buddies from Pittsburgh, comic book news, movie reviews, games. I love their show, and I strongly urge you to check them out. The Nomcast, as I mentioned before, Netflix original movies with Andrew Morgan. I almost said Andrew Larson. That's the guy from Goes to the Stratosphere. His brother, Jerry Morgan, has a show, FOJ Live. That has got that's like conspiracy stuff. That is definitely a fringier topic than pop culture, but Jerry is a natural host, and he always has interesting stuff going on. Check that out. I don't want to miss anybody. So Forgotten Cinema, Mike Butler and Mike Field, they talk about movies that have kind of dropped, out of the public consciousness, and they think should be given another chance. Very good show. Shane from Media Mosh, I just mentioned. Please check him out. The lovely Queens of Rock Candy, out of the upper New York area. They do episodes that they pair up beers with musical acts, and they're next level stuff. They're next level stuff. If there's anybody I have not mentioned that I should have mentioned, I love you. I've been talking for a long time, and I'm not using any kind of list tonight. So, Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, also out of upper state New York. These guys, their show is very cool. They basically talk all about pop culture, wrestling, music, sports. They jam it in there, and it's done well. It's not like some kind of like odd mishmash of like, what are they talking about now? Really good stuff. So just do yourself a favor. Go check out some podcasts, because you probably have the time now. You get into a podcast, you might say, hey, I love that one. Obviously, if this is your first time listening to Pint Comics, check us out. Listen to some episodes. You'll see that this is not, commonplace for us, but it's what we got to do. Just stay good. I'm going to steal Dino's thing. Be decent to each other. And I'm done. I'm fucking done. This has almost been an hour, so I'm absolutely fucking done talking. Oh my God. God damn. I miss Lloyd and I miss John, man. They really are really important and fill in those nice gaps, because I haven't had many gaps here. Ugh, that was gross. All right, see ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!